something about Mario Kart World makes it feel a bit incomplete, if that makes sense. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe versus Mario Kart World, because Nintendo looked at perfection and said, what if we messed with it? Okay, let's get straight to it. So, right off the bat, I do not have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe right now with me. Obviously, I've played the game a lot, but over the weekend, I was at my friend's place and I played the hell out of the game again. So, I have a few thoughts. Let's get right into it. Now, the first thing I will say is World actually does look graphically better, and it's not really close. I know water is wet, right? Like, obviously, it's on the Switch too. It's gonna look better, but just hear me out here. First time I played Mario Kart World, I did not think it looked that much better, okay? I remember playing this and thinking, oh, it looks good. But you know what happens it always happens when you get a new console, even with the PS5. And like, granted, the PS4 to PS5 wasn't the biggest jump in the world, but I remember playing my PS5 and thinking, like, is this that much different from my PS4? And after going back to the PS4 a couple of months later, I'm like, okay, yep, it's better. That's the same thing with this. The fidelity is just on a whole new level. Everything's crisp, like everything pops, the colors, the small details, like it looks great. I've never free roamed in this track before, so this is new for me. But point is, it does look way better. It looks sharper. And one thing I noticed about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after going back to it, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has this like weird haze to it, especially when you start going fast, like when you're boosting. I don't know what that's about. It's slight, but it's there. It's not a big deal, but it is there. Like comparing the Rainbow Roads, Mario Kart 8 looks great, the Rainbow Road, but the Rainbow Road in Mario Kart World is just on a different level. Like, is this a safe space? Can I just say that I think that's the best track in any Mario Kart game ever? And hey, like, it sucks that I can't free roam here in the Rainbow Road. I think it's the only track where you can free roam, which I guess I understand why it's not connected to the rest of the map. It's up in the fucking sky, but I just love the track so much. I wish I could just free roam on it all the time. I'm gonna put the Rainbow Road in here, having them up on the screens, like looking at both Rainbow Roads, like they both look good. Like Mario Kart 8 has many Rainbow Roads, but this one specifically, I think that's the new one the game introduced, the one up on the screen. It looks great. But when you compare it to what we have in Mario Kart World, it's just, oh my god, I don't think it's really comparable. I mean, if we're talking the booster courses in particular, those guys just look laughable compared to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, to be fair, they always looked, pretty questionable, even compared to the other Mario Kart 8 tracks. But like, after playing Mario Kart World, it's just, I literally cannot play those booster courses. They look like mobile game tracks. Shocker there, because obviously they were ported from Mario Kart Tour, which was a mobile game. So, that's not that surprising that they don't look that good. But it just kind of made me really appreciate the amount of fidelity we're getting in Mario Kart World. And even just playing this in docked mode, it looks so amazing. Before I go on, I just want to say, I just noticed that, through the video feed, this probably doesn't look that much sharper. Well, obviously, the screen is tiny here, and it's through a 1080p YouTube video. But obviously, Mario Kart 8 runs at 1080p, I think, with no anti-aliasing, while Mario Kart World on the Switch 2 docked runs at 1440p with what looks like proper anti-aliasing to me. So, it's, if you haven't played them in real life, you might think it doesn't look that much sharper, but even if you do watch a video in 4K on YouTube, it really doesn't tell you how much sharper Mario Kart World looks. Just because, well, obviously there's YouTube compression, but again, I will say with a game like Mario Kart World, if you're watching the video on like a phone or a laptop, you don't really see like the artifacts in the game and the lack of like anti-aliasing until it's blown up on a big screen. So playing that on a big screen versus playing this on a big screen, you just really see the difference. But as I was saying, I don't think it's fair to say 8 Deluxe has better tracks. Ooh, that's a nice track. I like that one. I don't think it's fair to say it has better tracks. I think one of the reasons why I had that first impression was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just has way more tracks, right? Like, and I'm not even talking the booster course. Booster course has 96 tracks. Like, fuck that. I'm talking base game here. The base game has, ooh, nice. The base game has 48 tracks. Mario Kart World has 30 tracks. That's literally 60% more tracks. So I think it's a situation where just because there are way more tracks, it's easier to, it's easier to find more tracks that you love, just because well, there's more tracks in general, right? But I don't think like the average Mario Kart 8 track is better than the average Mario Kart World track. No, I honestly I think it's quite the opposite, but with a caveat, which I will get to. And you know, that's the intermissions, but I'll get to that later. Right now I'm just talking like straight up tracks, like looking at the tracks individually. You know, I mean, Luigi's Mansion in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's an amazing track, but my god, just look at Boo Cinema, Jesus Christ. That just make me want to go into the game and enter one of those screens. And one thing I also like about Mario Kart World tracks is that a lot less tracks in this game have the, you know, safe, tried and tested, same lap, just same thing 3 times in a row. And there's nothing wrong with that, but after getting used to Mario Kart World, I will say it is a bit boring. And this is not even talking about intermission tracks. I think a lot of tracks in Mario Kart 8, oh, there we go, New Meadows. I fucking hate this track in Mario Kart 8. I prefer, in World, I prefer the 8 version. I think they fucked up the lighting in Mario Kart World. That's like the only track where I'm like, okay, this might be a downgrade. I mean, obviously it still looks sharper, but you know, just in terms of the art direction, I prefer what they did on 8 Deluxe when it comes to Moo Meadows. But what I was saying is, a lot of the tracks in World, they change as you progress through the laps. You know, first lap is different, second lap is different. I think that's an amazing thing. It makes the courses feel just way more interesting to go through. And, you know, I keep saying this, but, you know, way more grand. And let's go into this barrel. And I just love that. And obviously some tracks in 8 Deluxe do this too. I think mostly the booster course tracks, but you know, we don't talk about those. Those are like subpar tracks. But yeah, even though I do think the tracks are better, I also will say like a lot of the courses in Mario Kart World feel like they give you more choice. And what I mean by that is like, you know, the tracks are first of all way wider, which obviously is expected, 24 players as opposed to 12 players, but just the tracks feeling like literally twice as wide, you feel less congested. It feels less like you're on a straight path, like, oh, go from point A to point B. And you know, I found that straightforward track design with 8 Deluxe after playing World, it made it feel kind of last gen, kind of old and simple. You know, it's you know, I say this at the risk of sounding extremely stupid here, but you know, when you go back and play like a Wii game or something and you just realize like, my god, this is very simply designed. Like, it looks plain, the layout of everything and the visuals of everything look pretty retro, like obviously to a way less extent, but it kind of feels like that going back to 8 Deluxe. You know, also with the wall climbing and rail grinding, that just gives you more options like in the tracks, and there's also way more shortcuts in this game, so it definitely doesn't feel as much as just, oh, go from point A to point B. You know, with the tracks in this new game feeling like there's more choice involved, feeling more open, less congested, also just having way more background detail and just having that level of verticality. I think the tracks are better in this game. But, and this is a very huge but, what good are the tracks if you can't actually enjoy them? And what do I mean by this? What I mean is the intermission tracks. Those are a problem, a big one. So, even though I just went on a whole rant about how I think the courses in Mario Kart World are better, a lot of times the perceived quality of the courses isn't better, and that's what matters, right? If, you know, the courses are better designed or whatever, but you can't have fun with them due to the fucking intermission tracks, most people are gonna say Mario Kart 8 has better courses. You know, the intermission tracks really kill the momentum and excitement of racing this new tracks. It's like, oh, you go this amazing track, and then the next thing you're just going on a straight empty road with a bunch of cars. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you can tell the intermission tracks, they're just, and again, I guess fair enough, because there's like apparently like what, almost 100 intermission tracks, because, you know, just based on the course combinations, like what track you're going to, what track you're coming from, the intermission tracks can always be different, but they're just so boring. And look, I get the idea of what Nintendo was trying to do here, and like in theory it makes sense, but on paper I don't think anybody wants to play those fucking intermission tracks, especially when they eat so much into the actual real tracks. So it's like a lot of the time you're playing, you're spending on the intermission tracks. So obviously one more thing that's different with the tracks in Mario Kart World is you don't have underwater sections anymore. Honestly, I don't care. I barely noticed that. If anything, I like the fact that you now bounce off of the water, which, you know, I don't think is necessarily better. Ooh, the particle effects with the pieces of magma in the air. Not that I think bouncing is better than going on the water, but just because it's different, I don't know, it just feels fresher. But I don't think it's necessarily worse. I guess some people may prefer the underwater section. But this bouncing kind of reminds me of Sonic Racing, Sonic and Sega Racing All-Stars Transformed. I probably butchered the name, but that's probably the only Sonic Racing game I've ever really rocked with. Now, when it comes to the actual driving, like the actual driving mechanics, now I know I am saying Mario Kart World feels better in a lot of things, but don't worry, I will give Mario Kart 8 its flowers too, and it's an evolution, like, you know, it's the new Mario Kart, so obviously there's going to be a lot of things that are improved. I don't think the fundamental driving mechanics necessarily feel better. It's just there's more options with driving now, like what I just did, you know. I don't even know what you call these things, like what's the official name for this? Like the forward jump boost, whatever that is. Even when you have like just stretches of track where it's pretty much empty, there's not much to do, or you don't have the option to drift, you can just do the forward jump to get a boost. So, you know, that alone, it kind of gives you less downtime where it just feels like, oh, you're just driving forward in a boring way. Also, even though I'm too fucking ass to pull them off a lot of times, but like I mentioned before, the rail grinding and wall climbing in this game, you know, that's extra stuff you can do with the driving mechanics, and it generally feels rewarding when you pull off some certain tricks. So those little differences make the driving feel that little bit better. But when it comes to the actual core driving, I don't know, they feel pretty much like the same thing to me, but this one has more options, so I guess this one's better. One thing I will say that I missed from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that I totally forgot about, when you hit someone and you kind of do that like spin thing and get a boost off of it, like if you hit someone on like one of the anti-grav sections, like on the screen there, you kind of like take a little boost from the hit. Also, the anti-grav sections in a lot of tracks had these spinning pins or like screws. Hit one and also get that spin boost. So, you know, I like that. That's totally gone in this game. No anti-grav, I guess, so fair enough. With all I've said, you know, it would seem like on paper Mario Kart World is the better game and should be more fun, but I don't know if I can say that, you know, but something about Mario Kart World makes it feel a bit incomplete, if that makes sense. Like, there's all these individual pieces that are better and are definitely improved, but like the entire package just doesn't come together as much. I think I will say, at least in my opinion, one reason for this is just fewer tracks in the game. Like I said, 60% less tracks. So, you know, obviously Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I'm talking about the base game here, 8 Deluxe feels more like feels like you're getting a bit more for your money when it comes to the tracks. Which, fair enough, this is a deluxe game. It's a re-release with extra DLC, but hey, it's still what you get when you pay $60 for the game. So we're comparing them. I think the biggest thing that messes up Mario Kart World, and even though it has the better tracks in my opinion, and you can't just enjoy the tracks as much, is the intermission tracks. It doesn't matter if the tracks are actually well designed, but if in between each track you get a very bland stretch of nothingness, well, I mean, that's over exaggerating, but you know, it just doesn't feel as nice. Mario Kart 8 is more straightforward. You get in, do your Grand Prix, you get out. You race here, you race the next one, you race the next one. It's straightforward. You're not forced to play intermission tracks you don't enjoy, and that alone, I think, just hinders the enjoyment with Mario Kart World for a lot of people, and that's fair. That's totally fair. Now, you know, I will say though, not to completely shit on Knockout Tour. I absolutely love Knockout Tour. You know, I think it's an amazing mode, and it's what I play whenever I play online. But give us the choice, at least Nintendo. I don't want to play Knockout Tour all the time. You know, I would like a traditional Grand Prix. Like, sure, we do have Grand Prix, but the Grand Prix still has intermission tracks. Like, can I get a normal Grand Prix where I just finish this one race and get teleported to the next race? Why was that so easy? I would like a normal Grand Prix, and I think that's what a lot of people have been asking for from day one. Just give us a choice. We're not saying you completely scrap Knockout Tour. Just give us a normal Grand Prix where we don't have to play with the intermissions. Now, you know, I look, I'm no like Kid and Krista here. I don't work for Nintendo or anything, but the intermissions are a big part of the whole Mario Kart World gimmick, so they leaned in pretty hard. It's like kind of like the whole identity of the game, like, oh, it's you know, no boundaries, you go from one track to another track, you can explore the whole world. But it's like let's be honest, I don't think I think most Mario Kart fans aren't crazy about being forced to play intermission tracks all the time. So like, hey Nintendo, it would be nice if you could just double back a little bit and just give us at least choice. And I guess maybe they think that if they do that, most people will play just regular Grand Prix instead of Knockout Tour. I don't know, but my thing is, even if that happens, like, we still have the regular free roam, so we can still enjoy this whole like interconnected world that you guys made. But I just don't see why they have to force us to play intermission tracks all the time, even in Grand Prix. So I think that, you know, like, technically on paper World is the better game. Like, it does have like better driving technically, it does have better courses, but then in between each course is an intermission track, so that just hinders the whole flow of everything. And you know, also with having less courses, I think it feels a bit less complete as a package, less satisfying than 8 Deluxe. But hey, I don't know. Those are just my thoughts, my ramblings. What do you think? I don't know. Do you think this is better? Do you think it's dog shit? You know, I think they both have their pros and cons. All in all, I think when it comes to Mario Kart 8, you know, I missed the anti-grav section spins where you can hit someone, get a spin boost, or like hit one of those pins, get a spin boost. I'm not gonna lie, I also missed some of the anti-gravity courses. The ones that come to mind off the top of my head are Dragon Driftway and Mario Circuit from the Flower Cup. But this game does have an increased level of verticality, but the way those like twist and turn you around, like that's a bit unmatched. And the most important thing is just being able to straight up race, just having the races be straightforward. Like, you finish this track, you go to the next track. You don't have these in-between tracks that are subpar. Now when it comes to World does have better courses, even though it doesn't have as much courses. The graphics are definitely way better. The animations for the karts and characters are better, and the core gameplay itself, the driving is a little bit better just due to the tricks you can do and the options involved. So it's like they kind of trade blows here and there. But you know, I could definitely see why a lot of people would enjoy playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe more, if that makes sense. So hey, I don't think it's anything that can't be fixed with an update with Mario Kart World. But you know, depends on Nintendo, and knowing Nintendo, they're pretty strong-headed, so I don't know, I wouldn't really count on it. But hey, it's still a great game, because I'm comparing this to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was an amazing game already. So they're both great games. I'm not complaining about this game. I'm having tons of fun, and I was also kind of already worn out with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, that game came out in 2014, and granted, I didn't play it in 2014. I started playing that game since like 2019 or something, so I'm kind of worn out of it. But again, those are just my thoughts. Maybe I'm making no sense at all, but that's just generally how I feel. What do you think? Let me know.